If you're looking for adventure this summer, escape with Marvel Comics. Fight crime with Spider-Man, meet the Fantastic Four, and watch Captain America in action. May the Force be with you as you battle the evil empire in Star Wars. Discover the secrets of the South American jungle in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And with Marvel Comics, you're never alone because they can go with you in the car or to the park, even on a rainy day. Marvel Comics are your ticket to fun and adventure this summer.
Hey, what time is it?
Well, it's Podblast time! That's right, it's Podblast time. Actually, it's comic book time because it's time for another installment of Every Issue Ever Made, in which I show you every issue ever published of a particular comic book with actual photos of comic books from my collection. And so I took these photos today, and this is leading up to the brand new Fantastic Four First Steps movie, which was released in July of 2025 by the MCU. And have you seen the movie? Replay crew, let me know in the comments, what did you think of the movie? But we're going to go back in time to the 1960s, to the origin of a character called the Silver Surfer. And that character looks like this. Let me show you a picture. For those that don't know, I'm sure most of the comic book folks here know exactly who I'm talking about, but we're talking about this guy. Norrin Radd was his name before a herald named Galactus, or he became a herald of a character named Galactus, a giant who devours planets. And he made this character, Norrin Radd, he was humanoid, the Silver Surfer. And I'll show you actual images of Jack Kirby art and John Buscema art from the actual comic books. There's my copy of Silver Surfer issue number 1. We'll get to that later, but that's who we're talking about today and tonight. The Silver Surfer. And we're going to look at every issue. There's only 18 issues of volume 1 of the Silver Surfer. There was a one-shot in 1982, just one issue. And then in 1988, there was volume 3 of the Silver Surfer. We're not going to show those today. We're just going to show the classics. And there's some other pop culture news, some sad news. We had some folks pass away. I'll talk about that later after the comic books towards the end of the show. I think you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to date the show because I think some folks may see this after they've seen the Fantastic Four movie in summer 2025. But it is Podblast time. How are you? This is your weird, informative, and hopefully fun time capsule of memories of days gone by as we forge ahead together in the game of life. Remember the Milton Bradley board game of life? Well, I was more of a twisted man myself, but right now we're reminiscing about life, specifically pop culture history and life experiences that we all have in common. That's what this show, the Nostalgic Podblast, is all about. This is the Nostalgia Show with a bite, because it bites. Now, welcome. I'm Chance Bartels, your host. Obviously, no relation to Chance the Rapper, and I'm a big fan of Chance the Rapper. As Steve Harvey says at the beginning of Family Feud when he hosts it, we've got a good one for you today. And we really do. It's time for the 6th installment of Every Issue Ever Made. Previous installments of Every Issue Ever Made included Marvel's Ghost Rider. I showed you every issue of Marvel's Ghost Rider, the Johnny Blaze version of the Flaming Skull incarnation of that character, because there was a Western Ghost Rider. The Ghost Rider has been different characters throughout different generations, but I started with Marvel's Ghost Rider, and then we showed you every issue ever made of Marvel Feature Volume 1, which became Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing teaming up with another Marvel character. And then in the third installment, I showed you every issue ever made of The Defenders. And then Marvel Premiere, Volume 1, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, and Iron Fist. I showed you every issue of those titles. And then the last time I did this live, it was Iron Man, issues 1 through 100. I try to limit it to 100 issues because it gets a little repetitive. So this is a nice, healthy quantity of issues with 18 of the original Silver Surfer title. But I'm also going to show you some Fantastic Four issues, including the first appearance of the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four issue number 48, which led up to his solo series. Okay, so we got some comic book facts I'm going to share with you, and of course we want to say hey to everyone watching live in the chat, which I guess I'll do right now. Let me see if anyone's out there. I was late to start. I couldn't get my mouse to work. I had all sorts of technical problems, but let me just quickly roll our little pre-roll video I like to do as we see who's out there watching live on YouTube Live or Twitch or Facebook Live. I like to put your comment on the screen. So what I do when this happens is I show a classic Romper Room clip as we look at the chat.
You have a good day today, friends. Yeah. I did.
I had a Superman day.
You had a Superman day. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Spider-Man day.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, you know what? Wait. You know what time it is? It's time for me to see the friends at home in the magic mirror. Romper bumper, stomper boo, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today, did all my friends have fun at play? All my friends had fun today. I see David's having a special day today, and Olivia Joy had a special day on Sunday. And I see Robin had a special day yesterday, and Dana's having a special day today, and so is Reginald and Edward John and Margaret. And I see Justin and Megan and Courtney and Brick and Mark and Rachel and Sheila and Caroline are all having special days, and Cicely and Ashley and Matthew and Jose, and I see Bonnie and Anthony and Joe had special days yesterday, and so did Tammy and Brandon and Gregory, and of course, friends, you know I see you, and I'll see you again.
Hey, Kay Moonen down in Florida. Yes, I do have Fantastic Four issue 48 behind me, and I'm going to show it to you up close and personal. I took tons of photos today of comic books in my collection. Hey to the lovely Sarah in Southern California. She says she's watching on her television. Hey, that's cool. I'm unfortunately, you can see my fat head practically in 3D on a big TV. Hello to Joe Gutfeld watching in New York State. He's a big Mets fan. I'm a Braves fan, and the Braves are having kind of a season this season in 2025. And Joe Gutfeld said, I watched the 1998 Silver Surfer cartoon series that aired on Fox. That was a very underrated cartoon series, and I played the intro to that at the top of the show tonight. So hey to you. And you know, I was really late. I want to say hey to My Cool Dog. I love that YouTube handle, My Cool Dog. And Fat Comic Book Guy said that he shared the show. Listen, if you're listening to the show on my audio platforms, including Fistful of Radio, which streams out of Atlanta, I would encourage you to find the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast. And all you have to do is Google search The Nostalgic with a C, not nostalgia, Nostalgic Podblast. The very top of your search, you'll see the YouTube channel. Click that, then click the live tab, and you will see an image. I'm going to actually pull up the image for anyone watching. It doesn't do much good for listeners, but it shows Silver Surfer issues and Fantastic Four issue 48 in the thumbnail. That way you can see the items that we're going to look at tonight. Let me see if I can find that right fast quick. So the thumbnail image, came in and says, I'm no fan of the female Silver Surfer that'll be in the new movie. Well, that's the love interest of Norrin Radd, who becomes a version of the Silver Surfer in another universe. And I have a photo I want to show. And that's Julia Garner, who's going to play the Silver Surfer in the new movie. I'm going to try to have an open mind. There she is. And there she is as the Silver Surfer in the brand new movie, Fantastic Four First Steps, out July 2025. So, you know, I'm going to, you know, I think we will see Norrin Radd in the new movie. If not, then certainly in the sequel. But I want to go ahead and show that since you mentioned it, the side-by-side comparison. And actually, I met her. I worked background on a movie called Weapons, and she is in the cast of that movie. I saw her act. She's a phenomenal actress. I saw it in person. And that's all I can say at this time until the movie's released. But and in that movie, there's a lot of Marvel guys. My gosh, you have Thanos himself in that movie. That's not a secret. I'm not betraying any confidence here, any confidentiality. But Josh Brolin is in that movie. Really good drama. I'm excited to see that movie. It was shot over a year ago, so it'll be nice to see that on the big screen. Weapons. And also, Wong is in the movie. Doctor Strange's sidekick, the actor who plays Wong, is in Weapons. So you have like 3 Marvel legends, Thanos, the new Silver Surfer, and then Wong himself in the movie Weapons. But it's not a superhero movie. It's a very dramatic, serious film. And I think you're going to like it. And I'm excited to see it. So I guess we'll get started with some history of the Silver Surfer, if I might be so kind. I mean, if you'll be so kind to bear with me on that. I'll try not to be too long-winded. Let me see where my notes are real quick. Here they are. Okay, obviously, here's some history of the Silver Surfer. Obviously, the Silver Surfer is a fictional character appearing in comic books published by Marvel. Let me put an image of the Silver Surfer on the screen. I haven't done a live show in over a month. I've been so doggone busy. Okay, let me just quickly put up a picture of the Silver Surfer while I read some facts about the character. Let's see. I'm going to put issue number 1 back up from my collection. It's right here. Okay, we're talking about the Silver Surfer. I always love this character. Look at that cover. Anyone that's watching, that's art by John Buscema. The character was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And he first hit in late 1965 in actual street time. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the Silver Surfer was published by Marvel. And he also appears in a number of movies, television, cartoon shows, and video game adaptations of the character. The character was drawn by Jack Kirby, first appeared in Fantastic Four issue number 48. I know that's the 3rd or 4th time I've said that. And the Silver Surfer was a humanoid alien with metallic skin who can travel through space with the aid of his surfboard-like craft. Originally a young astronomer named Norrin Radd, and his last name is spelled with 2 D's. Double D's, R-A-D-D, Norrin, N-O-R-R-I-N, R-A-D-D, Norrin Radd, on the planet Zenla. He saved his homeworld from the planet Devourer, a giant that I talked about at the top of the show, Galactus, by serving as his herald or his protector. And what he would do as his herald, I'm getting ahead of myself, is he would scout. He would be like a talent scout or a location scout in show business. But in this instance, in the fictional Marvel Comics universe, he would scout for planets for Galactus to devour and eat and thus destroy. And that's what the Herald, in order to do that, he has to have certain cosmic powers. We'll get to that in a moment, which Galactus granted Norrin Radd when he transformed him into the Silver Surfer. I'm going to show you the actual artwork from the origin of the Silver Surfer. So he had the Galactus's power cosmic, the Silver Surfer did. He acquired vast power, a new body, and that surfboard-like craft on which he could travel faster than light. Now known as the Silver Surfer, he roamed the cosmos, searching for planets for Galactus to consume. When his travels took him to Earth, he met the Fantastic Four, who helped him rediscover his nobility of spirit. And he betrayed Galactus. He saved the Earth, but was exiled to Earth as punishment. In the alternate continuity of Earth 10 and Universe 10, Shalabal, Norrin Radd's lover, I'll show you her in a moment, and the Empress of Zenla is depicted as joining him as a second Silver Surfer, like in the new movie, both serving as the twin heralds of the second Galactus, Franklin Richards. Now, Franklin Richards is the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm Richards, and he has powers as well. But getting way ahead of myself, I'll know you, the comic book folk out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In 2011, IGN ranked the Silver Surfer number 41 in its top 100 comic book heroes list. Not that that means anything. The Silver Surfer was portrayed by Doug Jones and voiced by Lawrence Fishburne in the 2007 film Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was panned by critics and comic book fans alike. Okay, Jack Kirby once commented on the character's creation during an interview stating, quote, "My conception of the Silver Surfer was a human being from space in that particular form. He came in when everybody began surfing. I read about it in the paper. The kids in California were beginning to surf. I couldn't do an ordinary teenager surfing, so I drew a surfboard with a man from outer space on it," unquote. Jack Kirby further elaborated on the narrative role of the character, created as, quote, "My inspirations were the fact that I had to make sales and come up with characters that were no longer stereotypes. In other words, I couldn't depend on gangsters. I had to get something new. For some reason, I went to the Bible and I came up with Galactus. And there I was in front of this tremendous figure who I knew very well because I always felt him. I certainly couldn't treat him in the same way I could any ordinary mortal. And I remember in my first story, I had to back away from him to resolve that story. The Silver Surfer is, of course, the fallen angel. When Galactus relegated him to Earth, he stayed on Earth. And that was the beginning of his adventures," unquote. So the Silver Surfer debuted as an unplanned addition to the superhero team comic book, The Fantastic Four, issue number 48 from December of 1965 with the March 1966 cover date. I'm going to show you my copy of that now really quickly, and it's right here. I just love this artwork. Mine is ungraded. I have a raw copy, and the actual date this was released was back on December 9th, 1965, and that was a Thursday. There you go. There is the copy behind me. Fantastic Four, issue number 48, which was the first appearance of Galactus as well as the Silver Surfer. If you open up that book, look, it was signed by Jack Kirby. No, I'm kidding. I don't know whose initials that is, unfortunately. It says SRK at the very bottom there, but there's my raw copy. If you open it up, now here's the very first panel of the Silver Surfer ever in comic book history. Isn't that cool? There's a nice close-up look. And then there's the second panel of the Silver Surfer. He's at the top of the page. Sorry, listeners, this is very visual. Just cruising through the cosmos on his surfboard. And there it is close up. Here's the third panel of the Silver Surfer in existence from Fantastic Four, issue 48. Here it is, close up. And then there's the fourth Silver Surfer panel. That's how Jack Kirby drew him. And there's a character named the Watcher who sort of oversees. We saw him at the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but he's a really cool character, or actually it was the Watchers, I should say. But the Watcher, he's a benevolent alien who sort of is like a guardian angel of the Earth and of the universe. So here is the fantastic. What I like is here's a panel at the very bottom of this page showing the Silver Surfer using his powers from his first appearance. And then look at this cool photo image from issue number 48. The Watcher is warning of the coming of Galactus, warning the Earth to prepare to die, because this guy eats worlds, as I already stated. And then on the very last page, you see Galactus, and there he is. So that's issue number 48. Here's issue number 49 from my collection, which is the first full appearance of Galactus. I just love that issue. That's from Tuesday, January 11th, 1966. You know, let's talk about the values really quickly of the first appearance of the Silver Surfer and Galactus. These are actual sales figures. Let's look here. At Go Collect, a graded 9.6. My raw copy you see here is certainly not a 9.6, but in recent sales, This sold for $33,000. That's the fair market value for a 9.6. That's a high end, and that's a graded copy that's entombed in hard plastic, whether it's CGC or another grading company, an official comic book grading company. The 1-year average of a 9.6 is $22,800, with one sold for that amount within the last year. The 90-day average is $22,800 as well, because within the last 90 days, that same issue, 9.6 graded copy, sold for $22,800. Fair market value of 9.2 is $8,500, and then it goes down to, and that's graded, so sort of apples to oranges. A 6.0 is $1,400. That's probably in line with my copy here. And then at the very low end, a 2.0 graded sold for $450. 90-day average is $473 for that graded book. So let me now look at what Key Collector says. I look at keycollector.com as well, and Key Collector says, let's see here, Key Collector. Thought I pulled that up for issue 48. Yeah. Okay. It says that a high grade raw copy is $4,000 of this book. A mid grade is $1,200. And again, that's not scientific. I don't think that data is based on actual sales. But anyway, there you go. So that's all I've got to say about that. And issue 49 is a hot book too, selling for about, raw copy, high grade, about $2,000 on average. All right, so let's continue on here with the story of the Silver Surfer and the origin of the character. So it was introduced in Fantastic Four issue 48 from December 1965 in actual street time. That's one of my things that irks me. One of my pet peeves is that a lot of journalists go by the cover date of March of 1966. That's always 3 months ahead of actual time. That's the expiration date. So the person stocking the comic book spinner rack or the newsstand would know to remove that book and return it to Marvel Comics if it hadn't sold, to replace it with the more current edition. So the actual street date, as I've already stated, of this copy. Oh, where is it? Oh, and I have a lot of comments I got to get to. Forgive me. Wait a minute. Yes, December 9th, 1965, and that was a Thursday. That's when that hit the street. Okay. So, I showed you this. This is the inside of the book. I just love the character. He's just so cool. Silver Surfer just riding the cosmos in the spaceways, as it's called. Okay, so let me see where I left off. Yeah, so he was an unplanned addition to the Fantastic Four issue number 48. The writer Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the one who did the pencil artwork, had by the mid-1960s developed a pretty good technique known as the Marvel method. The two would discuss story ideas, and Jack Kirby, working from a brief synopsis to draw the individual scenes and plot details, with Stan Lee finally adding the dialogue and the captions. That was the formula when they created new characters at that point in time in the 1960s. Really, the birth of the Marvel Age of Comics was with Fantastic Four issue number 1 from August of 1961. Because primarily before that, they published war comic books, monster comic books, and things of that nature. They weren't really in the superhero business until Fantastic Four issue 1 broke new sales records for Timely Comics. And that was the predecessor to Marvel Comics. And they started getting into the superhero business. So when Jack Kirby would turn in his pencil artwork for a comic book story, he included a new character that both he and Stan Lee had not discussed. As Stan Lee recalled back in 1995, over 30 years ago, Stan Lee said then, 30 years ago in 1995, there in the middle of the story, we had so carefully worked out was a nut on some sort of flying surfboard, unquote. He later expanded on this, recalling, "I thought, Jack, this time you've gone too far." Kirby explained that the story's agreed upon antagonist, a godlike cosmic predator of planets named Galactus, should have some sort of a herald, and that he created the surfboard, quote, "because I'm tired of drawing spaceships," unquote. Taken by the noble features of the new character who turned on his master to help defend the Earth, Stan Lee overcame his initial skepticism and began adding characterization for the character of the Silver Surfer. And the Silver Surfer soon became a key part of the unfolding story. Yes, the first 3 issues that featured the Silver Surfer were in the Fantastic Four issues 48, 49, and 50. And we'll take a look in just a moment. So following the Silver Surfer's debut, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought him back as a reoccurring guest in the Fantastic Four. Issues number 55 through 61, we'll look at those in a moment. Issue 72 and issues 74 through 77. And that led up to his solo series. The character made a solo debut in the backup story of the Fantastic Four annual number 5 from August of 1967. And I forgot to picture that one. I might grab it out of the box when I play a clip or something tonight. Beginning in August of 1968, Stan Lee launched the solo title, The Silver Surfer. Actually, it was in May of 1968. Not August 68. That's the cover date. John Buscema, one of my favorite artists, and he actually he illustrated a nice book that Marvel Comics published in the 1970s, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and it was based on John Buscema's style of drawing. He literally would start with a stick figure and then flesh it out, and I just love that. And he would have like a dramatic pose of the character, unlike the competition DC in many cases. There was a dramatic flair that John Buscema, the artist, would use in his artist technique. I love Jack Kirby. I love Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko was the co-creator of The Amazing Spider-Man and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. But I think that John Buscema took the art to another level back in the mid to late 1960s. And John Buscema was the penciler for the first 17 issues of the 18-issue solo series, The Silver Surfer, with Jack Kirby returning for the 18th and final issue. We're going to look at all this in just a moment. The first 7 issues, which included Tales of the Watcher backup stories, were 72 pages with advertising, 25-cent double-size issues or giant-sized issues of Marvel Comics, as opposed to the typical 36-page, including ads, 12-cent comics of the time. Typically back then in the late and mid-1960s and early 1960s, a comic book story without ads would be about 24 pages of panels. Now, thematically, the themes of the stories of the Silver Surfer dealt with the surfer's exile on Earth and the inhumanity of man as observed by this noble yet fallen hero. Though short-lived, the series became one of Stan Lee's most thoughtful and introspective works in all of his tenure at Marvel Comics Group. Following the Silver Surfer cancellation, the Silver Surfer made sporadic appearances as guest star or antagonist appearances in such comic books as Thor, The Defenders, The Submariner, and the Fantastic Four. Stan Lee remained partial to the Surfer, even asking other writers not to use him as a general rule. And with Jack Kirby, he collaborated on a seminal 1978 graphic novel starring the character, the only original story featured in Marvel Fireside book series. Now, I'm going to show you this cool 1982 one-shot that artist John Byrne, one of my favorite Marvel artists, put together. It's just a one-shot book called The Silver Surfer, which was a direct release to comic book shops only. It wasn't on 7-Eleven or, for instance, 7-Eleven spinner racks at convenience stores. You could only find this title at comic book shops back in 1982. It was a great one-shot issue called The Silver Surfer, which was technically Silver Surfer Volume 2, Issue 1. And then he got another ongoing title starting in 1987. I'm not going to show any of those. I'll just show you issue 1 of that title. Ron Lim handled a lot of the artwork in that title. And there were some key comic books in that title pertaining to Thanos and other characters. But that's another discussion. We're just talking about the classic Silver Surfer 18-issue Volume 1 series and the Fantastic Four issues. But the 1987 series, this series initially was written by Steve Englehart. The series was to be set on Earth And one issue was completed under this premise before Marvel agreed to let Englehart remove the long-standing restriction regarding the Silver Surfer being imprisoned on Earth. The first issue was shelved, and a brand new first issue was written to set up the plot twist. The original first issue would ultimately be reprinted in Marvel Fanfare issue number 51. The series marked the first Silver Surfer stories not written by Stan Lee, a fact which Lee was openly unhappy about. He explained, Stan Lee said, "After I gave up Spider-Man, then someone else did Spider-Man, and someone else did the Fantastic Four and Doctor Strange and the X-Men and all of them. I felt it was kind of nice for me to have been the only writer of the Silver Surfer, so I felt a bit disappointed when somebody else did it. I would have liked to have been the only person. Had I known they were absolutely going to have the book done, I would have found the time to do it myself. I didn't really have time, but I would have made the time rather than have anybody else do it. This is not at all a criticism of Steve Englehart or Marshall Rogers, the artist on the series. It's just that it's one book that I would have liked to have always done myself." Excuse me, uncut. And also you saw the Silver Surfer after the cancellation of the 18-issue series in the Avengers as well as the Defenders. Steve Englehart introduced many villains for the Silver Surfer, as well as featured space politics involving the Silver Surfer's homeworld, Zen-La, which was caught in the middle of a renewed Kree-Skrull war. However, issues regarding Steve Englehart wanting to use his Avengers character Mantis, whom we met on the big screen in Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he wanted Mantis as the Silver Surfer's companion, writer Steve Englehart did, as well as editorial refusing to let him use Thanos or other concepts conceived by writer-artist Jim Starlin. That led Steve Englehart to leave the book with issue number 31 of the Silver Surfer. Jim Starlin took over as writer with issue number 34 of Silver Surfer Volume 3. Volume 2 is the one shot by John Byrne. Starlin took over with issue 34 after several fill-in issues incorporated Thanos, Adam Warlock, and Drax the Destroyer into the series. By the way, Thanos was created by Jim Starlin, as was Drax the Destroyer, way back in Iron Man issue number 55, which I have in my collection. And I showed you that in the last every issue ever made installment of the Nostalgic Podblast, where I showed you issues 1 through 100 of Iron Man from my collection. Under Jim Starlin and later Ron Marz, M-A-R-Z, the Silver Surfer series would receive acclaim and a sales boost due to Silver Surfer's involvement with Jim Starlin's Infinity Trilogy with George Perez and J.M. Also having brief writing stints on the series as well. We miss George Perez. He passed away. He was an awesome writer-artist for Marvel and DC. Additional artists included Tom Grinberg, Ron Garvey, and John Jon J. Muth, M-U-T-H, as well as periodic guest spots by John Buscema. The title experienced great initial success, which allowed Marvel to push the character into other media, including a 1990 video game, a 1992 trading card set, and a 1998 animated series that I loved, as well as spinning off a variety of other comic book series, including Cosmic Powers Unlimited, Captain Marvel Volume 2, and Star Masters. It ran for 146 issues through 1998. The next year, it was followed by the 2-issue miniseries Silver Surfer, Loftier Than Mortals. And a 2-issue Silver Surfer miniseries, later collected as Silver Surfer Parable, scripted by Stan Lee and drawn by Moebius, was published through Marvel's Epic Comics imprint in 1988 and 1989. Because of inconsistencies with other stories, it has been argued that these stories actually feature an alternate Silver Surfer from a parallel Earth. The miniseries won the Eisner Award for Best Finite and Limited Series back in 1989. Now into the 2000s, a new ongoing Silver Surfer series began in 2003, focusing on the character's alien nature. It lasted 14 issues. The Surfer later appeared in an issue of Cable and Deadpool and has been reunited 3 times with the superhero group, the Defender. Excuse me. This coffee's coming back up on me. In 2006 to 2007, the Silver Surfer starred in the 4-issue miniseries Annihilation, Silver Surfer, and co-starred in the miniseries Heralds of Galactus, both part of the Annihilation fictional crossover. I'm not going to show you any of that more modern stuff. We're just looking at the classic 1968 to 1970 18-issue series by Stan Lee. Okay, in 2007, the Silver Surfer starred in a 4-issue miniseries titled Silver Surfer Requiem, and the first issue was released on May 30th, 2007 to coincide with the character's first movie appearance. It was published under the Marvel Knights, like Jedi Knight with a K, Marvel Knights imprint. The Silver Surfer Requiem portrays the character upon learning that he is dying, as the silver shell he is encased in is deteriorating, meaning his body. And this was followed by the 4-issue miniseries Silver Surfer in Thy Name by writer Simon Spurrier and artist Tang Eng Huat. After an appearance in Planet Hulk in 2006, the Silver Surfer was featured in its spin-off series starring the Hulk's son Scar in 2008. Both stories written by Greg Pak, P-A-K is how you spell Greg's last name. Okay, so, I mean, I could go on and on in history. The 2010s, the Silver Surfer received a 6th volume, a 5-issue miniseries written by Pak, P-A-K, debuting in February 2011. He was also a core cast member in the Thanos Imperative in 2010, the Annihilators in 2011, and Fear Itself, The Deep in 2011. Beginning in 2011, the Silver Surfer began appearing regularly in The Mighty Thor and a new volume of The Defenders, both written by Matt Fraction. In March of 2014, the Silver Surfer Volume 7 began as a part of the all-new Marvel Now by writer Dan Slott and artist Mike Allred, and colorist Laura Allred. In January 2016, the Silver Surfer Volume 8 began with a special 50th anniversary edition expected release in March of 2016. And in 2019, a 5-part miniseries titled The Silver Surfer Black was released, featuring art from Trad Moore in collaboration with writing from Donnie Cates. The series is an extension of the Guardians of the Galaxy storyline, in which the Silver Surfer was sucked into a black hole and ejected into unfamiliar space territory. This run follows the Silver Surfer as he cruises the spaceways on a journey back home. And then in the 2020s, the Silver Surfer later plays an important role in King in Black. With the help from Hugin and Moonin, no relation to K Moonin, our watcher on Facebook Live, the Silver Surfer helps Enigma Force to enter Earth and choose Eddie Brock / Venom as a temporary Captain Universe. That was a character created by Steve Ditko, by the way, to aid his fellow heroes against Null, K-N-U-L-L, and his army, Null. So, Silver Surfer's, his humanoid alter ego, Norrin Radd, is from the utopian planet Zenlaw. In the Deneb star system of the Milky Way galaxy. He's the son of Jartan and Elmer Radd, and he has a half-brother, Fenin Radd. Zenlaw's ancient and significantly advanced civilization has lost the will to strive or explore, leaving the young scholar Norrin Radd restless and yearning for adventure. Facing the destruction of his world by the planet-consuming Galactus giant, Norrin Radd bargains with the cosmic being. I'll show you that artwork in a moment when he is transformed into the Silver Surfer by Galactus. In return for the safety of the planet Zenlaw and his lover, Shalabal, Norrin Radd pledges to seek out planets for the world devourer to consume, as his herald. Galactus imbues him with a portion of the power cosmic, transforming him into the Silver Surfer. Norrin Radd had intended to lead Galactus to uninhabited planets, but Galactus tampers with his soul to prevent this. Norrin Radd serves Galactus for an unspecified amount of time. Eventually, the Surfer summons his master to Earth. Here, the Silver Surfer meets the Fantastic Four and Alicia Masters. That's the blind girlfriend of the Thing, otherwise known as Ben Grimm, the pile of rocks good guy in the Fantastic Four superhero team. And her dad was a character named the Puppet Master, who was a villain of the Fantastic Four. And the tragedy about Alicia Masters is she's in love with the Thing, the monster, the Thing, not Ben Grimm, the human character. And there were times when the Thing was cured by Professor Reed Richards, and Ben Grimm learned that, at least in his mind, Alicia Masters, the blind artist, preferred him as the monster. And she'd feel his face, you know, how blind people do. You know, I just love the tragedy of that character. But the Silver Surfer tries to make a play for Ben Grimm's squeeze, Alicia Masters. I'll show you that as well. Back in the 1960s, it was pretty interesting. He fell for her. Wow. So, touched by their nobility, Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer, rebels against Galactus, who is eventually driven off from the planet Earth. But before he leaves, he confines the Silver Surfer and condemns him to Earth with an invisible barrier that affects only him. During his exile, the Silver Surfer fights numerous villains, including Dr. Doom, who wants to steal his power cosmic, and he does, and he rides his surfboard. I'm going to show you that artwork. It's so cool, from Fantastic Four issue number 57 from my collection. So the Silver Surfer also fights a demonic villain, Mephisto, who wants the Silver Surfer's soul. The Surfer's only ally during these trials is a physicist by the name of Al B. Harper, who eventually sacrifices himself to save the world from the Stranger. Banding together with the Incredible Hulk and Prince Namor, the Submariner, during these wanderings, the Silver Surfer forms the Titans 3, a group dedicated to battling evil on Earth. And soon, Doctor Strange joins the group, and it becomes the Defenders. The Silver Surfer stays with the team for a while, but his overwhelming desire to be free of Earth and his frequent collisions with Galactus's energy-draining barrier eventually drives him to leave the group, the Defenders. The Silver Surfer finally pierces Galactus's barrier with the aid of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, the leader of the Fantastic Four, and he temporarily escapes the Earth. He discovers, though, that his homeworld has been ravaged by Galactus, and Shalabal, the love of his life, has been abducted by Mephisto, the demonic villain, and taken to Earth. Even though it means trapping himself once more, the Silver Surfer returns to Earth to battle and defeat Mephisto. He's introduced in Silver Surfer issue 3. I'll show you in just a moment. Before being vanquished, Mephisto sends Shalabal, the love of Silver Surfer's life, back to Zenn-La. But the Silver Surfer manages to endow her with a portion of his power cosmic, which she uses to revitalize the plant life of their ravaged homeworld. After the Silver Surfer aids the Fantastic Four against Galactus's latest herald, Terra-X, that's Terrax, spelled Terrax. He was introduced in Fantastic Four issue 211, if memory serves. I have several copies of that in my collection. John Byrne drew that issue. The Silver Surfer eventually pierces Galactus's barrier by acting on a suggestion of trying to pass through on a spaceship instead of on his own power on a surfboard. He also makes peace with Galactus by rescuing current Herald Nova from the Skrulls. Now, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Nova, that was one of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch's girlfriend's, Frankie Ray. She becomes Nova, another herald of Galactus after Terrax. Boy, this is confusing for non-comic book readers. I know. Trying to keep it simple. But Galactus, going back to Silver Surfer, he makes peace with Galactus by rescuing current Herald Nova of Galactus from the Skrulls, the shape-shifting aliens we saw on the big screen in Captain Marvel, the movie from 2018. among other things. They're the green aliens. Galactus declares the Surfer's exile ended, and the Silver Surfer immediately revisits his homeworld, but Shalabal, the love of his life, in his absence had become Empress of the rejuvenated Zen-La planet and is unable to renew their romance. Embroiled in fresh hostilities between the interstellar race, the Kree, and the Skrull empires, the Silver Surfer also intervenes in a series of plots by the elders of the universe who plan to become supremely powerful by destroying Galactus, who devours worlds and the universe with him. The Surfer thwarts this plot with the aid of a new love interest, Mantis, the Earth-born cosmic heroine, also known as the Celestial Madonna. And of course, she's an empath. And we saw her on the big screen in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, a different incarnation of the character. She was actually a villainess when she was introduced in the Avengers issue 112 in the early 1970s. Mantis seems to die in the process, and although she eventually returns, she never fully... Okay, wait a minute. We're talking now... Okay, let me back up. I screwed up. Mia. All right. The Silver Surfer thwarts the plot by Galactus with the aid of his new love interest, Mantis, the Earth-born cosmic heroine, also known as the Celestial Madonna. She seems to die in the process, and although she eventually returns, she never fully renews their romance. After this loss, a grief-stricken Silver Surfer turns to Nova, and romantic feelings begin to develop between them. The Surfer's influence gradually leads Nova to question the morality of her role as the Herald of Galactus, eventually replaced by the far more ruthless Morg, M-O-R-G. Nova dies in a conflict between the new Herald and the Silver Surfer and the other ex-Heralds of Galactus. Okay, almost done with the history of the Silver Surfer. I know this is very, very long, and I want to show you some comic books from my collection. The Silver Surfer repeatedly battles spaceborne menaces, the chief of whom is Thanos, who attempts to kill half the life in the universe by using the Infinity Gauntlet. Through Thanos, the Silver Surfer learns how Galactus had altered his soul. He convinces Galactus to restore his soul, but once Galactus has done so, the Silver Surfer is overcome with grief until he is able to forgive himself. The Silver Surfer finds interstellar allies in Adam Warlock's Infinity Watch and the Star Masters team, and he begins attending occasional Defenders reunions. Isn't that special? The Silver Surfer returns to Zen-La to find that the planet has vanished and learns that it was actually destroyed in the 1940s in Earth time, 1940s Earth time, by an entity known as the Other. Zen-La and its people, which the Surfer repeatedly encountered since leaving Galactus' service, were actually reproductions created by Galactus so that the Silver Surfer would have a home to return to. Losing his capacity for emotion again, the Silver Surfer returns to Earth. He later regains his personality during a time travel adventure and sharing a romance with Alicia Masters. Hey, that's Ben Grimm's squeeze. That's the Things girl. The two ultimately part as friends after many adventures together. The Silver Surfer temporarily bonds with and is controlled by the Carnage symbiote, which is seeking revenge for the destruction of its homeworld. And later, the Silver Surfer works with the alien Anukai race to gather and protect some of Earth's most extraordinary gifted children. In the end, one of these children, Ellie Waters, saves Earth from the godlike Murdoch entity, preventing the apocalypse and reordering reality as if the Marduk, M-A-R-D-U-K crisis had never happened, though Ellie alone apparently retains her memories of these events. The Silver Surfer resumes his interstellar wanderings, but promises to be ready to aid his adopted homeworld should Earth ever need him. Wow. During his travels, the Silver Surfer is captured by a portal of the Sakaar Empire. Left weakened and vulnerable by his trip through the portal, the Silver Surfer is subdued and implanted with an obedience disc to ensure that he remains loyal to them, kind of like the restraining bolt on R2-D2 in Star Wars. Fighting as a gladiator and believed to be the fabled Sakar's son due to his appearance, the Silver Surfer is forced to face the Incredible Hulk along with his Warbound. Though through teamwork and distraction, the Incredible Hulk is eventually able to destroy the Silver Surfer's obedience disc. The Hulk and several other slaves and gladiators are freed when the Silver Surfer uses his power cosmic to remove their own obedience discs and give them a way out of the arena. Although the Hulk declines the Silver Surfer's offer to take him back to Earth. Reminds me of anyone out there remembers the classic Star Trek. Remember that terrible episode, third season premiere, Spock's brain? Remember how you had those devices that caused pain and it sort of enslaved our heroes? The bringers of pain and delight. The women. Brain and brain. What is brain? Anyway, I digress. Okay. During the Annihilation War, the Silver Surfer again becomes Galactus's herald to help save the universe from Annihilus. Annihilus lives in the negative zone. He was first introduced in the Fantastic Four Annual number 6 back in 1968. Anyway, I digress. Okay. This is getting very tedious. Let me just summarize and try to wrap up this origin of the Silver Surfer and history of the Silver Surfer. Okay, Annihilus captures them and gives the Silver Surfer and his fellow heroes to Thanos for experimentation. Drax the Destroyer frees the Silver Surfer, who in turn frees Galactus. An enraged Galactus destroys more than half of the Annihilation Wave, and Annihilus is defeated. Later, the Silver Surfer is joined as a herald by Stardust, a former herald the Silver Surfer had replaced. The Silver Surfer leads Galactus to the populated planet Orbuken, which brings him to conflict with Richard Rider. He delays the planetary destruction and gives the inhabitants more time to evacuate. Okay, there's a lot more, but we only care about the classic Silver Surfer, at least in the nostalgic Podblast. So, that's a real mouthful there of the history of the Silver Surfer. Good grief. I didn't mean to get that long-winded about it, but I just wanted to give listeners and those that are watching on Facebook Live or on Twitch or on X or Facebook Live a little bit, maybe too much, of the history of the character of the Silver Surfer. Now let's get back to the comic books. And this is, after all, this is every issue ever made, and I went way off course. And of course, there's other versions of the Silver Surfer character. I just mentioned Earth 10, otherwise known as Earth X, and then Earth 691. The Exiles version of the Silver Surfer. Anyway, it gets really, really complicated with all these parallel universes. It sure gets confusing. And then you had What If variants of the Silver Surfer. What If is a Marvel comic book title. It goes back to 1977. And there were several volumes of that. And there's a great streaming series on Disney Plus titled What If, a live action version of What If, which was a comic book title like, what if Jane Foster had found the Hammer of Thor? Unfortunately, they implemented that in Thor 4, Love and Thunder, which is a very uneven movie after the excellent Thor Ragnarok, Thor 3 in the movie series. But I digress. But that actually was issue 10 of What If from the 70s. What if Jane Foster had found the Hammer of Thor? What If's a great title. What if Gwen Stacy had lived if the Green Goblin hadn't killed her by throwing her off the bridge? There's a lot of great issues of classic What If, but I digress. Okay, so let's talk about and show, and I'll get to the chat, I promise, some more of issue number 48, the first appearance of the Silver Surfer from my comic book collection, seen right there. I just love the artwork by Jack Kirby. And then there's the Watcher from issue number 48 from my collection. There he is using his power. I showed you this already. There's the nice little photographs that were implemented with the Jack Kirby artwork. pencil artwork. And then there's the cliffhanger. Then there's issue number 49. Here's issue number 50 from Thursday, February 10th, 1966. That's from my collection. I just love that artwork. Here's splash page 1. If we were to open that book up, the startling saga of the Silver Surfer. Now you're going to see where he's busting a move on poor Alicia Masters, Ben Grimm's girlfriend, in this issue. I love that ad. Look at that ad for Amazing Spider-Man issue number, what is that? 30. I think that's number 36. Yeah, the first appearance of the Looter. Wow. And then here is more of the interior of Fantastic Four issue number 50, which is the third appearance of Galactus. Look at that artwork. Isn't that cool? Jeez, I love that. And Galactus strikes the Silver Surfer in a battle with a ray. Look at that from his eyes. Isn't that bad to the bone? I love that. Now here, the Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd, has eyes for Alicia Masters. And I think it's highly inappropriate. Look at poor Ben Grimm as the Thing just looking on. He's like, what the hell's going on here? And again, this is from issue number 50 of the Fantastic Four. And there's more of Alicia Masters. Now, here's issue number 55. The Silver Surfer returned to the Fantastic Four in the issue released on Thursday, July 7th, 1966. Here it is from my collection. It's a nice copy. I love that cover. And of course, the Thing's going to defend his woman. And that's exactly what he does against the Silver Surfer. Look at him cruising his surfboard. I love this artwork. It's just so cool. And there he is. Tap, 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 knocking on the window of Alicia Masters' house as she's playing the guitar. He's creeping on her. Don't do that. Let me turn my sign on. All right, now, wait till you see the battle artwork. All right, there is some more of the interior artwork. Anyone watching on the TV, you could probably read that. I think that I took these pictures today of my collection with my iPhone. There's where the Thing shows up and beats the crap out of the Silver Surfer, and I don't blame him. Here's more of the battle artwork. This is Fantastic Four issue number 55. I think that's so cool. There's the battle continuing. And this is the cool part. I love where the Thing grabs the Silver Surfer's surfboard right there. Let me see if I can read some of this. Let's see. Where is issue number 55? Let's see. Issue 55 is right here. Let me see what that says. See, I use the reprints. I don't want to go through my actual issues except to take photographs, because I don't want to damage my books. But let me just read some of this dialogue. Okay. So Ben Grimm says,
Give me that board. I said, give me it. I want to see how good you are without it. You busted my jet cycle when you slammed me through that wall. So before I plaster you all over the landscape, I'm going to do the same thing to this overgrown ironing board of yours.
I love that he's all riled up.
It's clobbering time.
That's the Thing. He threw him through the wall, the Silver Surfer did. Let me see if I can find, let me back up and read. Okay, look where he shows up. Let me put this panel back up. Where he's just watching poor Alicia Masters. Okay. Let's see what he says. It says here, all right, let me read the caption. She whom I seek is surely within. He's flying about Alicia's house. Therefore, I shall descend. Special bulletin note. We'd like to explain Surfy's tracking power to you, but it would be necessary to use many extraterrestrial adjectives, and we wouldn't want to confuse those of you who speak only basic Earth. So here's the Silver Surfer. He's thinking as he looks at her, peers at her through the window. She stands among the fruits of her labor, but her mind is elsewhere. And so Alicia Master seems to be talking to herself. She's saying aloud, I thought I might forget how much I miss Ben by coming here to do my sculpting in solitude. But it's no use. I can't get him out of my mind. If only I knew where he is. If I could know that he's safe. Then the sightless sculptress picks up a nearby guitar and softly begins to strum. Ben always loved to hear me play and sing. The Silver Surfer's watching through the window, and he thinks to himself, those sounds like the distant sighing of a cosmic breeze. And again, Alicia's still talking to herself. If only he could hear me now. And then tap, tap, tap on the window. And Alicia thinks to herself, oh, someone at the window. But who can it be? And let me see if I photographed the next panel. I did. At a single gesture, a lightning-like bolt of sheer energy surrounds the Silver Surfer, instantly dissolving the window which stands between him and the blind Alicia. And then, do not fear, it is I. That voice, one which I never thought I would hear again. You've returned, as you said you would. Yes, I have flown over this strange planet upon which humans dwell. I have seen men build and destroy. I have seen this world, which could be paradise, reduced to a planet of greed and fear and hatred. I have seen humanity with its heritage betrayed. I can stomach no more. But then, even as the weary, heart-sick Silver Surfer speaks, Ben Grimm says to himself, this is where Alicia's landlady said she cut out to. Poor kid. She came up here to work on them swinging statues of hers, and I was nutty enough to be jealous of her. I should have knowed I'm the pussycat in the world for my gal. And then the thing burst in. Hi, Mrs. Benz. I heard Alicia was up here. How about telling her that her one and only is downstairs, huh? Mr. Grimm, you startled me. Yeah, I guess it ain't every day that a Prince Charming comes charging into... Hey, wait a minute. What's that man's voice doing up there? A man's voice? Well, it sure ain't Minnie Mouse. Let me see if I photograph the next page. Yep. Next page. You sound so discouraged, so disappointed. But you mustn't be. There is so much beauty, so much goodness here on Earth. Somehow I can believe that. When I gaze at you, when I hear your voice so gentle, so filled with kindness. Mr. Grimm, wait! What are you going to do? I'm gonna write you a letter. If that's who I think it is, trying to beat my time with my girl, so I was right. Ben, is that you? Why do you enter in such a rage, my friend? Stand away from him, baby! Do you hear me? Get away from him! You figure it out! Bam! Crack. Ben, what have you done? Something I should have done a long time ago. And then the Silver Surfer exclaims, my former friend is displeased. He had resorted to the expedient that all earthlings fall back upon. Savage, unthinking brute force. But why? What motive can he have? – Did we not once battle Galactus together? there it is, the same page, sorry. And what purpose did he hope to serve by striking me? I am nourished by the energy of the infinite. I who possess power enough to divert the course of a falling star. And the thing says,
he managed to get on that blasted surfboard of his. He's coming back again.
No, Ben, no, you don't understand, my darling. Wait, listen to me. And she thinks to herself, Alicia Masters, the blind artist, it's no use. He's just so consumed by jealousy. It's no use. He's so consumed by jealousy that he doesn't even hear me. And then the thing exclaims,
this time I'll build him.
God dang, I can't read.
This time I'll build him clean up to the moon. To the moon, Surfer. Do you hear?
Ben, he isn't even human. He doesn't understand. He means no harm, Ben.
Come on, you blasted silver skunk. Come back and fight. I ain't through with you yet.
Let me see if I do the next page. Did I illustrate it? Yeah. The Silver Surfer states, if you insist upon a fight, I shall not disappoint you. And then the thing yells,
go on, keep it up. Talk big so's I can impress Alicia. A fat lot of good it'll do you. Ben?
Oh, wait. Now the Alicia says, Ben, it's you I'm worried about. It's not him. He's too powerful. Oh, Ben, my poor foolish darling.
That's it. Come on down here where I can clobber you.
If we must, I am bound to use the weapons of the Silver Surfer. Weapons such as this irresistible cosmic blast.
Boom! Oh!
Never shall I truly understand the human race. What do they seek to prove by their eternal battling? What glory do they find in harming a fellow being? Or, as I sometimes suspect, have I been condemned to a world where madness reigns? Okay. Woo. Then back to the battle. I photographed this page. Okay, so it shifted to another scene with characters called the Inhumans, but we'll skip that. The thing screams,
you blasted flying freak! I ain't licked yet. Just wait. Ah!
And then the Silver Surfer blasts the thing and the earth around him. Your courage is truly laudable, but you are like a child attempting to battle the elements themselves.
Yeah? Just let me get my paws on you, and you'll see how fast this here child can grow up. Where are you? Stay still and fight like a man. All right. If you won't get off that blame board of yours so as I can get my hands on you, then I'm gonna whoop you with my feet. Maybe I ain't no blasted Hulk, but boom! I can still punt me a chunk of boulder out of the ground with the best of them.
And he hurls that and kicks that boulder right at the Silver Surfer, and crack!
I kind of figured that'd bring you down to earth, you crummy Casanova. Now that I got you where I can reach you out. Hang on a second here. There we go. Now that I got you where I can reach you, I'll stand still, blast you. It'll only hurt for a minute.
And then the thing thinks to himself, that's Ben Grimm.
What's the matter with me? That milk-white monkey's trying to steal my gal away, and I gotta force myself to hate him. Why do I keep pulling my punch every time I toss a haymaker his way?
The Silver Surfer says, though you are merely an earth mortal, your natural strength is almost beyond my comprehension. But even for one who rides the currents of space, the first law is self-preservation. And so, while our battle continues, I shall intensify my energy buildup until... And the thing thinks to himself,
What's happening? My fist can't reach him.
Silver Surfer continues, at last, my own strength is great enough to match yours. The thing yells,
You're wasting your time, mister. You ain't gonna talk me out of the picture. You ain't gonna talk me out of the picture.
The Silver Surfer exclaims, you have forgotten that I am not bound by the physical laws of Earth. You still do not see that I can increase my extraterrestrial energy to almost any degree I desire. And now I am able to battle you in your own manner by using the primitive method of bare fist against defenseless body.
Bam!
The thing says,
I'll show you who's defenseless.
Then the Silver Surfer says, but I perceive that you shall never surrender. Therefore, I must take extreme measures. I must increase my energy to atomic strength. Damn, I didn't photograph that page. Now, even you would not dare attack me.
Don't bet on it, kiddo. There ain't nothing I won't tackle where Alicia's concerned.
All right. I think I've gone on and on. So that's a pretty cool little battle, I think. The thing is defending his honor. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, this is kind of cool. Wait a minute. The battle. Let me see here. Page is that? Okay. So, hang on. All right. The Silver Surfer, as he glows, says, not even you. Now, even you would not dare attack me.
Don't bet on it, kiddo. There ain't nothing I won't tackle where Alicia's concerned.
And then he thinks to himself, the thing does, Ben Grimm,
I'm the prize chump of all time. He's turning himself into a walking atom bomb. And it's all on account of me. I've been so busy having a temper tantrum that I forgot the biggest danger of all. He ain't human. He don't even know what he's doing. He could probably blow up this whole hunk of geography without half trying. And that means Alicia and everyone else will go sky high with it. It's up to me to get him out of here and fast. The jet cycle is my only chance.
Then, a few frantic seconds later, he hops on the jet cycle and thinks to himself, the thing does,
he's turned himself into a solid hunk of energy, coming after me like a crazy comet. I gotta throw this gizmo into full rocket speed and hope I can stay ahead of him long enough to think of something. So here goes nothing. Click, click. Now he's tossing some kind of energy bombs ahead of me. But I gotta keep going.
And he thinks to himself,
he's turned into a...
I gotta turn the page.
He's turned into a... his old surfing self again. And he looks stronger than ever. His blasted board came out of nowhere to zip under his feet. So what happens next?
The Silver Surfer exclaims, now, rash human, you shall learn what it means to challenge the one who has been the mighty herald of Galactus himself.
If that's the best you can do, Whitey, forget it. You ain't exactly playing Potsy with no campfire, girl.
And then he thinks to himself,
At last, I managed to get him over here to the warehouse district where no one's liable to get hurt.
What manner of being are you to thus defy the power of the Silver Surfer? Long enough have I toyed with you. The time has come to end this senseless travesty.
If that's the best you could do, hurling me through a wall, you should have stuck with Galactus.
Hear me, human. I grow weary of this endless battle. The ways of Earthmen are still far beyond my own comprehension.
Yeah? Well, here's where I finish your adjudication, Romeo. And I'll start by wrapping this crummy board around that scrawny neck of yours.
Then you will not listen to reason?
Sure I will. After I'm done clobbering you. Give me that board, I said. Give me it. I'm gonna see how good you are without it. You busted my jet cycle. And when you slammed me through that wall, you busted my jet cycle when you slammed me through that wall. So before I plaster you all over the landscape, I'm going to do the same thing to this overgrown ironing board of yours.
and speaking of things that are difficult, let's return once more to the raging, frustrated, blue-eyed Ben Grimm.
Oh, I don't get it. I could tear a brick building apart with my bare hands or peel the sides of a battleship off like a steel banana skin, but I can't even make a dent in this one crummy, sawed-off plank.
Of course you cannot. That is no mere earthly artifact you struggle with. It is spawned among the distant stars. Your mortal brain could never begin to comprehend its cosmic power. It is more than merely a means of transportation. It's truly a part of me, and I am part of it. Now that you realize how futile it is to attack me, how much proof do you need?
I don't realize nothing. I can handle more than you could ever dish out, mister. All right, big shot. We've been playing it your way up until now. I've been listening to all your fancy talk about your cosmic energy and that nutty surfboard, and how much better you are than us Earth Joes. But now I'm gonna start making with the lecture. My way.
Moving like some giant living dynamo, the unconquerable thing raises one of the mightiest fists in existence. Boom! And hammers it down upon the warehouse roof with the mind-staggering force of 100 pile drivers.
Happy landings, Buttercup!
A split second later, the entire roof gives way, collapsing under the force of a blow whose power defies any mere mortal description.
How come you ain't bragging now? And if that ain't enough to make him wish he'd never set eyes on Alicia? I'll feed him the rest of this joint for dessert.
He picks up the building, the thing does. The entire apartment building. And hurls it at him.
You blasted big talking space pirate! Thought you could come in out of the blue and shoot me down with Alicia, did you? Figured you could sweet talk her away from a slob like me, huh? Didn't go away. You ain't seen nothing yet. Bam!
But a long, pliable arm reaches out, grabbing the steel wrist of Ben Grimm like a coiled snake. It's Professor Reed Richards. Hold it, Ben, hold it. You don't know what you're doing, fella.
Stay out of this stretch. It ain't none of your business, so let go.
I'm making it my business, Ben. Alicia phoned us, sick with worry. She begged us to find you, to bring you to your senses. If you have any left. Sue Richards. We've been searching for you with that police helicopter. Now simmer down and let me explain, says Reed Richards.
Explain what?
Get that chip off your shoulder, big fella, before I knock it off. And you've got me itching to do it too. I thought you were in love with Alicia, but instead you've left her crying her eyes out.
Sure, over that crummy silver surfer.
No, Ben, no, says Susan Richards. When are you going to grow up, Grimm? Or are you trying to prove you're really as dumb as you look? The surfer doesn't mean anything to Alicia. He's not even human. She felt sorry for him, and that's all. It's you she's worried about. She was afraid you'd be injured fighting over nothing.
I wouldn't let no one talk to me like you just did, mister. Less maybe I knew deep down that you're right.
All right, so enough of my terrible rendition. Let's move on to issue number 57 of the Fantastic Four. In the next appearance of the Silver Surfer. This is a great issue. Look at that awesome copy from my collection. It's in incredible shape. I love the purples and the coloring of that cover, issue 57. Let me just find it. This is a key issue because Dr. Doom attempts and successfully steals the power cosmic of the Silver Surfer. So this issue was released way back on, this is a big date, Thursday, September 8th, 1966. Now, in terms of pop culture history, that's the day that Star Trek debuted on NBC with the episode The Man Trap with the Salt Vampire. Hey, I interviewed the stunt woman, the woman in the costume who played the Salt Vampire recently here on the Nostalgic Podblast, live from Stellar Fest 1 in April of 2025. I'll also show you her book. That's Sandra Gempel. She played the Salt Vampire creature. But anyway, this actual issue was released on September 8th, 1966, the day that Star Trek debuted on NBC TV. Look at the inside of that comic book. Isn't that awesome? It's in really nice condition. And the artwork by Jack Kirby is just incredible. And I'm not going to attempt to overact this out, as it were. I'll just show you some of the artwork because we got to show every issue ever made of the Silver Surfer, all 18 issues. And we're leading up to that. These are the first appearances of the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four comic book. So just look at the wonderful artwork in this issue, number 57. And look how Dr. Doom is working the Silver Surfer. He's trying to get in his head. He wants to steal his power. And look, that's exactly what he does with these clamps. Look at that artwork. I just love that classic artwork by Jack Kirby. And there's Dr. Doom riding the Silver Surfer's surfboard. Isn't that cool? And there's the final panel of issue number 57. It was a big cliffhanger. Now here is issue number, the next appearance and the cover appearance of the Silver Surfer. This is from December 12th, 1967. Fantastic Four issue number 72. Then on February 8th, 1968, was Fantastic Four issue number 74, seen there. Look at that great cover. These are from my collection. And then on March 7th, 1968, you had Fantastic Four issue number 75. I love that rich red coloring in that cover. That finally leads us up to Thursday, May 16th, 1968, and the Silver Surfer issue number 1, his own solo series. Is a double-size issue priced at 25 cents from regular single-size issue was still 12 cents at that point in time. And there it is. And then you open up the issue, and as the origin of the Silver Surfer, there's splash page 1 from my copy that's ungraded. And again, it features the origin of the Silver Surfer, and there it is. And that's artwork by John Buscema, and I just love it. And the script is by Stan the Man Lee. Stanley Lieber was his real name. I just love that artwork. There's Norrin Rand. There's before he became the Silver Surfer on his home world. And here he is recounting Dr. Doom taking over his powers in the Fantastic Four. And there's the coming of Galactus to his world. And that's where he's transformed by Galactus into a herald known as the Silver Surfer. Norrin Rand is reborn. Look at that gorgeous artwork. I just find that to be utterly fantastic. And look at that, the hand of Galactus. I bid you rise, says Galactus. And there's the conclusion of the origin. And then there's the love of his life. There's Shalabal from issue 1 of the Silver Surfer. And then there's the final panel of the Silver Surfer story. And there's another story featuring the Watcher in Silver Surfer issue number 1. And it doesn't have as many panels as the Silver Surfer story, but look at that. I just love that. Love it, love it. The next issue is from Tuesday. Let's see, July 16th, 1960. Oh, let's get to the values. You know, a lot of people like to know the values of these issues, and I'm not going to go back and talk about the Fantastic Four values because I forgot to do that, and it would just be too repetitive. But let's look at the values of Silver Surfer issue number 1. Which, of course, is not the first appearance, but it is the origin. And people like to collect the first issues of comic books. So let me look here. Silver Surfer issue 1, go collect. All right, actual graded copy, a 9.6 graded, went for $23,300. The 1-year average with 2 sold is $21,300 of issue 1, graded 9.6. How about that? A 9.2 goes down to $5,000 fair market value. And then a 9.0 is $3,500, graded 9.0, and 8.0 is $1,650. So isn't that incredible? I think that's just amazing. Let me just do one thing here. And then issue number 2, actual sales of graded copies of number 2. My copy is it looks like it's mint condition. 9.6, $650. So that's quite a drop off. And those are actual graded copies. 1-year average with 3 sold, $642 of issue number 2. And I love the rich purples in this cover. Let me get back to that. Issue number 2. Yeah. I mean, my copy is almost near perfect. It's incredible. There it is. Issue number 2 of the Silver Surfer. And then if you open up the book, look at that. Isn't that awesome? I love the inside front cover. It shows the Silver Surfer. Now, let's go to September 17th, 1968. That's when issue number 3 was released to the public. There's my copy. It introduces a demonic villain, Mephisto. Then on Tuesday, November 19th, 1968, it was bi-monthly at this point, every other month, you had issue 4. This is a scarce issue. That's a classic cover by John Buscema with the Silver Surfer battling Thor, the god of thunder in Norse mythology. And there was a warehouse fire that destroyed many copies of this issue, number 4, the Silver Surfer. That's why it's become very, very scarce, limited distribution. And let me just look at the values of that book. Let me see. Go collect. So Go Collect has, let's see, number 3. All right, got it right here. Well, going back to number 3, 9.6 is $5,250. That's the first Mephisto. Issue 4, the one we're talking about right now, it's a very desired issue in pretty much any grade. $13,000 is what a 9.6, the fair market value of a graded copy. The 1 year average is $11,400 with 2 sold, graded 9.6. The 90-day average is $10,800 of a 9.6. That's a high grade. Let's go down to an 8.0, $1,700. Graded 8.0 is the fair market value according to GoCollect.com. These are actual real sales. And then if you were to go down to a 4.0 graded, $500 is the fair market value. So there you have it. And I just love that artwork. I've seen posters of this art. It's fantastic. All right. So on January 14th, 1969, you had the Silver Surfer issue number 5. There it is. Issue 6, March 11th, 1969. And then issue number 7, The Heir of Frankenstein. There's that cover from my collection. And this was the last of the double-sized issues because with issue 8 from June 17th, 1969, it was a 15-cent single-size issue. At that point in time, Marvel Comics went from 12 cents a copy to 15 cents a copy. I love that ghost, introducing the Ghost. Next, on July 15th, 1969, we're going to go rapid fire here. Issue 9 of the Silver Surfer solo issue. There's only 19 total issues. Issue 9 was released on July 15th, 1969. Then came issue number 10 on August 5th, 1969. There's my copy. It's a really nice copy. Now it's monthly, not bi-monthly at this point in time. September 9th, 1969 saw the release of issue number 11. I love this cover with the love of Silver Surfer's life in his arms. Oh, bitter victory. Then a month later, on October 7th, 1969, you had issue number 12 released of the Silver Surfer, in which the Silver Surfer battled a character known as the Abomination, who was introduced in Tales to Astonish issues 89 and 90. And he's a villain of the Incredible Hulk. On Tuesday, December 9th, 1969, now it's bi-monthly again, temporarily. You had issue 13 of the Silver Surfer released to the public. And then on January 5th, 1970, a month later, the Silver Surfer, talk about an unfair fight, he took on Spider-Man. My copy's very rough. I need to upgrade that copy. Look at all the spine ticks. Yeah. I read that one to death. I love that issue. Then 2 months later, this was, again, March 5th, 1970, but on March 12th, 1970, you had issue 15 of the Silver Surfer released. And there's that cover. I'm going to take a chat break in just a second. And then on April 10th, 1970, a month later, I have a mint copy of that. As you can see, the Silver Surfer rebattled Mephisto, the demonic villain. There's that cover. Then a month later, on May 14th, 1970, you had the Silver Surfer issue number 17 released. That's a sweet copy from my collection. Then the final issue, Jack Kirby returned. This is from June 4th, 1970. Issue number 18 of the Silver Surfer with the Inhumans. And there's my copy of that book. There you go. So that's every issue ever made of the Silver Surfer Volume 1. Now, I have some other pictures I want to share. I've got to delete a couple photos. I want to show you all. The last page of issue 18, the final issue. And I'm going to show you the first page of issue 18, the final regular issue of the Silver Surfer. It's loading now. And there it is. If you were to open that final issue, that's what you would see. And that's the Jack Kirby artwork, the man who co-created the character along with Stan Lee. And here's the final panel, but check this out. This is an interesting bit of trivia, I think. In that, they didn't know the issue was going to be, the title rather was going to be canceled. They're even promoting at the end issue 19 of the Silver Surfer, which never came, featuring the new Silver Surfer. And that certainly never came to fruition. Okay, now I'm going to show you. Let's flash forward. Now, amongst this time, you had the Silver Surfer appear in the Avengers and Marvel Feature and the Defenders and many other things. And then along came on Tuesday, February 16th, 1982, the one-shot that I talked about with one of my favorite artists, John Byrne. A one-shot meaning a one-and-done comic book titled The Silver Surfer. That's technically Silver Surfer issue 1, volume 2. And I love that artwork. I love that cover. And there it is. And I pick that up whenever I can because it's not that valuable a comic book. I've got several copies in my collection. I just love it. And I love John Byrne. So that's from February 16th, 1982. I just love it. Now let's look at some comments in the chat. The sound is back. No sound. Uh-oh. If I had no sound all this time, I will not be happy. That will suck. Let me look here. It says no sound. Faulted all this time. Oh my gosh. I can't believe all this time the stupid StreamYard screwed me up. Oh well. Let me go back and look at the chat here. Y'all were probably trying to tell me that there's no sound, no sound, no sound. Damn, that sucks. Okay, let's see here. Get caught up on the chat. Hey, Snarky. Snarky was here. I don't know if she still is. Sorry it took so long to know that you're here. Walking. Could only type it once. Oh, love your shirt, Chance, said Sarah. Thank you very much for that. K Moonin asked, is Franklin Richards going to be Galactus in the film? If not, there's no point in making the Silver Surfer female in the first place. They should have just gone with Norrin Radd. Yep, I'm going to reserve judgment till I see the movie. I too used to always jump the gun and then I'd be pleasantly surprised. But Rick Clark said, nerd. I'm a rich nerd, though. K Moonin said, Chance, he can cruise at the speed of light. It's one of his powers. Yes, he can. And Snarky had said, going back in time, I'm at the Dollar General listening to Chance. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry my audio cut out. That's very disappointing. K Moonin said, Fantastic Four issue number 49 has a great cover. Yes, it does. Sarah, watching on Facebook Live, my flock in Southern California, said, Chance, is not behind you, FYI. I don't know what that meant. Rick Clark says, does the yellowing of the paper matter? It can. It depends. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Danny Staten said, one of my favorite covers. Rick Clark said, grading companies are buried. Takes months to get them back. Yes, that's very true, Rick Clark, especially CGC. They're down in Orlando, Florida. They're definitely backed up. And they've hired additional graders, official comic book graders that they've trained. K Moonin said, for an unplanned addition to issue number 48, he sure made an impression to get his own series. K Moonin said, good idea sticking to the older comics. The newer comics are nothing impressive. K Moonin said, down in Florida, yeah, the Fantastic Four / Silver Surfer storylines can be quite convoluted. K Moonin said, Norrin Radd has no problems replacing girlfriends. And K Moonin also said, some of the What If books are not bad. I love What If. Danny Staten's, yep, I'll get to that later. He's dating the show. K Moonin said, let's be honest, if the Silver Surfer went all out, the thing would be screwed. Yes, he would. All right. Well, thanks for being here, K Moonin. Cursed Zero is here. Said appears and gets hit by the cosmic blast as I begin to cough. Okay. Whose joke was that? All right. Whoa. Looks up to the nostalgic Podblast. I saw that slice. Good damn move, my comrade. I hate that my microphone cut out. StreamYard effed me up. All right. All right. Let's see here. Joe Gutfeld said no sound. Sound is back. Well, that stinks. That looks weird. LOL. What a big board he has, says Danny State in South Carolina. How you doing? Okay. We're going to get back to the fun and talk about some other nostalgic. So I've gone through all 18 issues of the Silver Surfer Volume 1. What you see on your screen is the Silver Surfer Issue 1, Volume 2, and there's only one issue. And then there was the 1987 Silver Surfer issue. I'll show you what that comic looks like really quickly. Let me change my camera shot right fast quick. I'll show you what that book looks like. Okay. I think I have it here. Ooh, look. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. This is a great box. But I digress. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. Okay, let's look. Let me find it. This is actually a killer box. Semper Fi. Vietnam stories. All right, let's see here. Oh. First appearance of She-Hulk in She-Hulk issue number 1 from 1979. Okay. So just to prove everything I showed was from my collection, here's my Silver Surfers. The rest are behind me. And my Fantastic Fours are behind me. Let me see here. Okay. Here is volume 3 of the Silver Surfer from 1987. There's a couple copies. There's the direct edition and the newsstand edition. But I have all those. We'll talk about that another time. I've got that whole run. They're not bad. Not great, but not bad. Anyway, I said I wouldn't show those, and there I go showing them anyway. Yes. Let's talk about some other nostalgia. I guess I'm going to conclude then with talking about the Silver Surfer and how much I love the Silver Surfer, and I can't wait to see the new movie. Now, I showed this earlier, but for those that tuned in late, Mr. Staten, here's what she's going to look like in the new movie. There she goes. I like it. I'm going to have an open mind, and Norrin Rad is from our universe. This is a different Silver Surfer from another universe. So, and listen, Julia Garner is a phenomenal actress. I've seen her act in person on a movie called Weapons, which will be out sometime later in 2025. All right, now we got to talk about some other nostalgic things. Let me see if I have my clip here. You know, we got some sad news. I don't want to date the show. This is a comic book show. Let me just find, there we go. I'm going to play a clip in just a sec. We had some really sad news. If you're a fan of MASH, like I am, I was really bummed out to hear that Loretta Swit had passed away. Now, she had a nice long life. I don't think she was married once from 1983 to 1995 to Dennis Holohan. She never had kids, but she passed away on May 30th, 2025 at the age of 87. She's best known as playing the TV version of the character Hot Lips Houlihan. I suppose now she's Cold Lips. Hate to say it. Someone's got to say it. I'm sorry. I mean, no disrespect, but She was born November 4th, 1937. God rest her soul. In New Jersey. And she passed away in New York City on May 30th, 2025 at the age of 87, as I've already stated. So she was a phenomenal actress. You know, I don't know what else to say. In the movie MASH, of course, it was Sally Kellerman who played the character of Hot Lips Houlihan. But yeah, it was a tough loss. I'm going to play a little clip of her from a movie that I really liked. It's a good horror movie. It's called Race with the Devil. And this is just the trailer. Hopefully the stream won't go down, but let's, if it does, I'll just edit it out after the fact. But let's try to remember Loretta Swit, MASH's Hot Lips, as we watch this 2-minute clip.
Shout Factory TV, changing the channel.
Two men on a dream vacation.
What the hell are they doing? I sure think they killed her.
Back!
Frank, they've seen us.
And get trapped in an unbelievable nightmare.
Turn off the light!
Why? What's wrong? What are you guys up to?
20th Century Fox presents Race the Devil.
We saw somebody murdered.
What?
Some sort of ritual across the river. A girl got stabbed. They're chasing us.
Starring Peter Fonda and Warren Oates. There was nowhere they could hide.
Alice, look what was stuck to the back window. It's some kind of message. Witchcraft.
Witches?
There was no one they could trust.
He killed my dog.
Well, did anybody hear anything? Didn't anybody see anything?
Go on with your trip. Have a good time. Leave this up to me.
There was nothing they could do.
He followed us all the way from Bandera. He's here right now watching us.
But run. And fight.
Shoot him, Frank!
And race with the devil.
There's somebody on top.
Frank, it's got to leave!
We gotta stay in here. Don't look!
Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, Loretta Swit, Lara Parker. Race with the devil. When you race with the devil, you'd better be faster than hell.
That was a really entertaining movie. I liked it a lot. And they use that stock footage in The Fall Guy. Talk about that show all the damn time. But there was an episode titled The Chase, and it had Cleavon Little from the classic. When you think Cleavon, when you hear Cleavon Little, what do you think of? You think of Blazing Saddles, right? Well, he did a Fall Guy episode where they used the stock footage from that film. And it was one of the better movies, I thought, with Loretta Swit. But yeah, I was sad that she passed away. Now, Pat McCormack interviewed her a couple times. He has a YouTube channel. I think he's rebranded it, but at the time it was called Golden Rage of TV. And he was fortunate enough to interview her. And I thought he did a really good job interviewing her. And, you know, it's sad, you know, as we all age, we see our heroes on whether it's on the football field or in the music studio or acting heroes pass away. And it sucks. It's really tough to see. But yeah, so yeah, Danny Staten, I was sad to hear about that she died, but you know, she had a good long life and she's immortal on film. She was awesome. So yep, Hot Lips is gone. What a shame. What a shame. All right. Let me see what else I got for y'all. Well, I have a little bit of I call this the nostalgic rant of the week and my fake rant of the week. And let me just set it up with my little video. You hear my video, my interlude to the fake rant of the week.
You want to fight? I'll give you a fight.
All right, now this one isn't too much of a rant, but I am so sick of seeing this everywhere on the road. Baby on board. You know, that hasn't been hip since 1986. I am serious. I don't understand why all these people think it's like a funny thing or a new thing. I can't stand that stupid baby on board, and I see it all over the road. I don't understand why. So that's my little fake rant of the week. You know, if I wish I could just do like an Animal House, smashing the guitar whenever I see baby on board, but I'm not a destructive person. But I've never liked that baby on board. I think it's so stupid. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry. If you like it, to each their own. I just think it's really dumb. Let's see what else I got for y'all here. Coming up, hey, I'm going to do a Jaws Spectacular because it's the 50th anniversary of the release of Jaws based on the Peter Benchley novel. Super excited to watch it yet again on the big screen, which is what I'm going to do. And that was the first big summer blockbuster movie, Jaws, with that epic score by John Williams. Of course, Steven Spielberg's direction. I just can't say enough good things about Jaws. So I'm gonna have to put together a Podblast about that. And also coming up, we're gonna resume season 1 of The Women of Star Trek. That'll be coming up here on the Podblast. And we're gonna have some more 70s trivia. And I'm gonna give away some prizes for those that want to play for fun or for prizes. So we'll have that coming up as well. Let's make sure I showed all of the issues. I think I showed everything that I was going to show tonight. Oh, let me see. Oh, and I have some other things I want to share with you. Let me just find my script I'd written when I prepared the show. Okay, some other nostalgic goodness. This is kind of a bittersweet anniversary. Let me get my copy real quick. And it is sad about Loretta Swit for sure. Okay, let me just find that. Where the hell are you? Okay, here we go. Let me put this picture up on the screen. Got to talk about one of my favorite performers of all time. And that would be Dolly Parton, because today would have been her 59th anniversary as we're live. Okay. Over 59 years ago, depending on when you're listening or watching this edition of the Nostalgic Podblast, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean were married back on Monday, May 30th, 1966. The great Dolly Parton, who was born on Saturday, January 19th, 1946 in Pittman Center, Tennessee, married her mystery man husband in 1966. On Monday, May 30th, 1966, Dolly Parton and Carl Thomas Dean, and Carl was born on Monday, July 20th, 1942 in Nashville, Tennessee. He sadly passed away on Monday, March 3rd, 2025 at the age of 82. They were married in Ringgold, Georgia. How about that? Now, another piece of history in terms of May 30th, the Beatles began recording my favorite album, and it was their double album, the White Album. They started recording in the session. They started the recording session on Thursday, May 30th, 1968. And that's just one of my absolute favorite albums that the Beatles ever put together. And let's see what else I have here for you. We got a really big heavenly birthday right now to talk about. And that would be Mel Blanc, one of the best cartoon voices of all time, man of 1,000 voices. Hall of Fame voice artist Mel Blanc was born on Saturday, May 30th, 1908 in San Francisco, California. Mel died from emphysema on Monday, July 10th, 1989 at the age of 81 in Los Angeles, California. I love Mel Blanc, and he is certainly immortal. Such a great guy. And some of his best work, as Chad Portier pointed out on my Facebook page a while back, he says some of Mel Blanc's best work was on the Jack Benny Show. And I agree. So happy heavenly birthday to the great Mel Blanc. Let's see what else we got here. Another note about the Nostalgic Podblast YouTube channel. Going to resume the Space Giants. Anyone who's enjoying that. I've published the first 42 episodes. There's 52 total half-hour episodes. So I'm going to, I already have them all ready to go. I'm going to publish some more Space Giants and also some more Alice mini marathons. What I've noticed is there's a lot of clones out there. There's a lot of YouTube channels from overseas that are doing their own Alice marathons. You can tell they know nothing about the show. They're not fans of the show. They literally are just copying video feed. And darn it, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm just kidding. But I'm going to have some more Alice. Anyone that's watching live that subscribes to my YouTube channel, going to have that coming up. I'm going to try this next Friday. I will not. I'm sorry, there won't be a show because I will be busy on the set. I'm booked to do something that I can't talk about. So I will not have a show the following Friday. I'm going to try to get more consistent. It has been over a month since I did a live Nostalgic Podblast. Really sorry about that. If it can be helped, I will go live every chance I get. And also we want to resume talking about the greatest game show MCs of all time who are no longer with us. I still need to do one on Bob Barker and some others, and I will definitely do that as well. And then we're going to keep the trivia coming. So here's some nice little artwork. Liz Montgomery, 2 spoonfuls of Nostalgic Podblast. Give me my daily minimum allowance of fun. And friend of the show, Tom Williams, put that together. Basil Chesterman, as he's known in social media land. He put together this one too. He wrote it. Look, there's a plane. There's a stewardess. I guess they're called flight attendants now and have been for what, 30 years at least. But there's a gentleman asking the steward or flight attendant, can we listen to the Podblast aboard our flight while drinking our root beer? And the steward says, well, of course you can. I like that. So I think that was pretty cool. So, all right, man. Let me change my camera shot now. How long have we gone? 2 hours? Wow. This has been a very visual Podblast. So anyone that's listening, again, just Google search The Nostalgic Podblast. You'll see the YouTube channel at the top of your search, Google search or Bing search, whatever search engine you prefer, even Yahoo. You'll see right at the top. And then make sure when you click the Nostalgic Podblast, you click the live tab, because you have to click the live tab to see the live shows. It's not under videos in most cases. And then you'll see this image of, I'm using this thumbnail image of these Silver Surfer comic books and Fantastic Four comic books. If I can find it, geez. I'm rusty because I haven't done a show in so long. Let's see here. Wait a minute, let me load that thing up here. Here it is. This is it doesn't do any, I don't know why I'm telling you, because listeners can't see it anyway, and people that are watching can see it. That's why they're already here, but it's going to be that image, anyone that's watching, that I took of comic books from my collection featuring the Silver Surfer. That will be the thumbnail image of this live show. Just look for Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer, any listeners that want to see the comic books that I talked about. All right, well, I think I'm going to sign off. Let me just do another quick scan of the chat. He's all broken up about cold lips. I mean, hot lips. That's terrible. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, she was awesome. Danny Staten said that little fellow who played Chuckle, Ed Gale, passed away too. He was a Jawa on Star Wars. Yeah, sad stuff, man. It really is. Ed Gale's first role was as Howard the Duck. Yes, in the 1986 movie, filmed in 85, that George Lucas directed. Howard the Duck with Leah Thompson. Yep, I saw it in the theater. Want to apologize for the audio issues before. Hello to BK on the Air. He's got a live radio show Saturdays, 10 a.m. to noon, Atlanta time, out of Cartersville, Georgia on WBHF. I would encourage you to check it out. It's 2 hours long, loaded with pop culture goodness and retro fun. He's the retro rocket man. That's Barry King, BK on the Air. Hello to you, sir. We were just looking at every issue ever made of the Silver Surfer. So nice to see you. God, that stinks that my audio messed up earlier. I didn't know it did. I was reenacting a battle between the Silver Surfer and Ben Grimm, the Thing, and I probably blew out the software. Oh, man. All right. Well, let me just do a scan of my clips and make sure that I have shown everything I'd prepared, and then I'm just going to say good night. And again, I am looking forward to the new Fantastic Four movie. I have a great big open mind, as well as the new Superman movie. They both look to be amazing. And I cannot wait to see those movies with a big bucket of popcorn. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I guess I'll say goodnight. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. This is the Nostalgic Podblast. I'm going to try to get more regular. I'm going to take some creative Geritol or fiber, get more regular at doing shows once a week. I've just been so doggone busy. It wasn't from being lazy, I assure you. But we'll see you next time. Now let's sign off with Louis Roy. ROI is how you spell his last name. His rendition of the American Space Giants theme, as I like to play. And don't let the dragon get you. Never let the dragon. Quick note, I'm really enjoying the new Tic-Tac-Doe hosted by Brooke Burns on the Game Show Network. It's really a lot of fun, even though they kind of screwed up the dragon between you and me. And I like Bingo Blitz, hosted by Valerie Bertinelli. Those are both on from 7 to 8 on the Game Show Network. Those are both a lot of fun. I don't usually like new original game shows that are on the Game Show Network, but those are both really good. And Bingo Blitz is taped right here in Georgia at Trilith Studios down south. So everybody have a good one. Here's Louis Roy signing us off. We'll catch you next time on the Nostalgic Podblast. Good night.